Welcome everyone to the What Happens When channel, where everyday questions are answered. Before we get into it, why don't you hit the subscribe, like, and smash the notification bell? Okay, let's do this. When a pope's life comes to an end, an extraordinary sequence of events unfolds within the Vatican's ancient walls, setting in motion traditions that have endured for centuries while adapting to modern times. The announcement of a pope's death triggers a period known as Sede Vacante, or empty seat, marking the beginning of a carefully orchestrated transition that combines solemn ritual with practical governance. The first moments after a pope's death are precisely regulated by protocols established over centuries. The Cardinal Camerlengo, the Chamberlain of the Holy Roman Church, must officially verify the pope's death by calling out his baptismal name 3 times. When no response comes, the Camerlengo announces, "The pope is truly dead," and proceeds to destroy the ring of the Fisherman, the pope's official seal, ensuring it can never be used to authenticate documents again. Within hours of the death, the Vatican's complex machinery of transition begins to move. The Camerlengo assumes temporary administrative control of the church, while the Dean of the College of Cardinals initiates the process of summoning cardinal electors from around the world. In our modern era, this ancient process has been streamlined through contemporary communication methods, though the fundamental procedures remain unchanged since medieval times. The Pope's body is prepared according to tradition, dressed in papal robes of red and white, and lies in state for several days in St. Peter's Basilica. During this time, hundreds of thousands of faithful from around the world queue to pay their final respects, creating a remarkable demonstration of the global reach and influence of the Catholic Church. This period also serves a practical purpose, allowing cardinals time to travel to Rome from their distant dioceses. As the faithful bid farewell to their departed shepherd, the Vatican staff begins preparing for the conclave, the secret gathering where cardinals will elect the next pope. The Sistine Chapel, with Michelangelo's magnificent frescoes serving as silent witnesses, is transformed into a secure voting chamber as modern modifications are made to ensure absolute secrecy. Electronic jamming devices are installed to prevent communications with the outside world, and the chapel is swept for listening devices. The cardinals who will participate in this momentous decision must be under the age of 80 at the time of the Pope's death. These cardinal electors face an enormous responsibility, as they must discern who among them can best lead the Church through contemporary challenges while preserving its essential traditions. They bring with them perspectives shaped by their diverse cultural backgrounds and pastoral experiences, creating a truly global deliberation. The conclave begins with a solemn procession into the Sistine Chapel, where the cardinals take an oath of absolute secrecy. The famous phrase, extra omni, everyone out, signals the beginning of their isolation from the outside world. This separation symbolizes their dedication to making a decision guided by divine inspiration rather than worldly influences. The voting process follows a precise routine. Each cardinal writes his choice on a rectangular ballot, folding it twice. In order of seniority, they approach the altar one by one, placing their ballot on a plate which is then tipped into an urn. The votes are counted by selected scrutineers, and if no candidate receives the required 2/3 majority, the ballots are burned with chemical additives, producing the famous black smoke that signals to the watching world that no pope has been chosen. This process continues with 4 votes per day until a cardinal receives the necessary majority. The successful election is announced to the world through white smoke rising from the Sistine Chapel's chimney, followed by the proclamation, "Habemus Papam," "We have a pope," from the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica. The newly elected pope must then make his first crucial decision, choosing his papal name. This choice often signals his vision for his papacy, perhaps honoring a predecessor or indicating the kind of leader he hopes to be. After accepting his election, he is immediately taken to the Room of Tears, a small chamber where he dons the papal vestments for the first time, a moment of profound personal transformation. The transition period challenges the Church's ability to balance tradition with contemporary needs. While the fundamental process of papal succession remains unchanged, modern additions have been incorporated. For instance, rules now explicitly forbid the use of electronic devices during the conclave, a restriction that would have been unnecessary in previous centuries. The process also highlights the tension between the Church's global nature and its European roots. While cardinals come from every continent, reflecting the Church's worldwide presence, the procedures remain deeply rooted in European, particularly Italian traditions. This creates an interesting dynamic as the Church continues to grow in the global South, while its administrative center remains in Rome. Security considerations have evolved significantly in recent decades. While maintaining the conclave's traditional secrecy, the Vatican must now also protect against modern threats such as electronic surveillance and cyber attacks. The balance between openness and security becomes particularly delicate during this transition period. The media's role has also transformed the experience of papal transition. What was once a largely private church matter now unfolds under the global spotlight. Millions watch live broadcasts of the smoke signals, and news organizations maintain round-the-clock coverage of events. This scrutiny adds another layer of pressure to an already intense process. The phenomenon of social media has created additional challenges. While the conclave maintains its strict isolation, the outside world engages in continuous speculation and commentary. The Vatican must manage this digital discourse while preserving the integrity of the traditional process. Financial markets even react to papal transitions, particularly in Italy, demonstrating how the Church's influence extends beyond spiritual matters. The economic impact of millions of pilgrims traveling to Rome for the funeral and subsequent installation of a new pope provides a significant boost to the local economy. The period of transition also affects the Church's ongoing operations. While routine administration continues under the Camerlengo's supervision, major decisions and new initiatives are suspended until the new pope takes office. This practical necessity can create challenges in addressing urgent matters facing the Church. The role of non-cardinal clergy and laity during this period illustrates the Church's hierarchical nature while also highlighting growing calls for broader participation in church governance. While they cannot participate in the election, their prayers and perspectives contribute to the overall process of discernment. Historical precedents continue to influence modern papal transitions. The procedures have been refined through centuries of experience, including periods of crisis and controversy. Each successful transition reinforces the resilience of these institutions while allowing for careful adaptation to contemporary circumstances. The process of papal transition also demonstrates the Church's unique position as both a religious institution and a sovereign entity. The Vatican's diplomatic corps continues to function during the interregnum, maintaining the Holy See's international relationships while awaiting new leadership. The completion of a successful transition requires careful attention to both practical and symbolic details. The new pope must quickly assume his responsibilities while learning to navigate his new role as His first decisions and appointments often set the tone for his entire papacy. Modern papal transitions also face the challenge of managing expectations. Different constituencies within the Church often hope for different outcomes, creating pressure that the cardinal electors must navigate while maintaining their focus on spiritual discernment. The role of tradition in this process cannot be overstated. Each element of the transition, from the destruction of the papal ring to the smoke signals, carries symbolic significance that connects present actions to the Church's rich history. These traditions provide stability during a period of uncertainty, while also reminding participants of their place in a continuing legacy. And as the Church moves forward under new leadership, the success of the transition process demonstrates its ability to maintain continuity while adapting to change. The careful balance of tradition and innovation, privacy and transparency, and spiritual and practical considerations continues to evolve with each successive papal transition. The conclusion of a papal transition marks not just the installation of a new leader, but the renewal of an institution that has survived for 2 millennia. Through carefully preserved traditions and thoughtful adaptations to modern requirements, the process ensures continuity while allowing for the reforms and renewals necessary for the Church's continued vitality in an ever-changing world. Thanks for watching.